Hello guys and welcome back to Coaster Climax, and I thought with Planet Coaster 2 now being out for a little bit of time and having multiple updates including its very first DLC, I thought I'd make a very quick tutorial on how to make a realistic and smooth coaster. Because we all know that you try and make something that looks really smooth and really beautiful and it ends up a bit like this. And that's just not how we want our coasters. We want them to be nice, glass and beautifully smooth. So that's why I thought I would just do a very quick tutorial on it. So the main thing you guys need to know is that to make smooth and realistic coasters, you need to have the proper heart lining and you need to make sure that the forces aren't too intense for the ride, especially if you're going for realism. And that, yeah, it's just a rather smooth experience. So I'm going to make a very quick Vekoma launch coaster because these are pretty smooth rides in real life and we're going for some pretty smooth rides. So starting off by just making a quick launch. Now my number one tip for creating a very smooth coaster is to always build in 13 feet or 4 meters and banking offset to 3 feet, as I feel like that just provides sort of the most realism. And then you're going to want to do gradual turns, so don't want to make it sharp. Just make it very gradual. With building in such small pieces, we don't want too many forces. And when you're building, always check your forces. I tend to not go anything above sort of 3.5 Gs for sustained time, because that is pretty much what coasters do. Like, a lot of coasters will have max G forces of like 4, 4.5 or something, but that isn't ever really sustained, and that is only for a split second of time. So, coming on top of this little inversion roll, I'm going to want it to sort of just crest that. So speed is really something you need to be good at managing. Make sure that you manage your speed and that you just keep building in these few meter methods. There we go, and that's element 1 completed. So, to make sure it's all good, give it a quick test run and see what sort of speeds we're dealing with. Oh, that looks pretty much perfect for exactly what we want. You need to sort of know what you want as well, whether you want it to be whippy, or whether you want it to be more graceful. So I'm going to make this a bit more whippy, and then just go through and smooth it. I tend to smooth with either 2 or 3 track pieces. Sometimes if you're doing quite short and sweet elements, smoothing with 2 track pieces can always be beneficial. As I know with like inversions, it tends to go a bit weird. And just checking that first element there, nice and whippy and nice and smooth. Now for the next element, I'm going to do a 0G stall. And again, keeping it in the short smooth pieces. We're going to want a pretty whippy entrance into it. And then bring it then into this stall. When I build stalls, I always add angle snap on. I feel it just makes a much whippier one. Now, if you want a whippy exit to a stall, do it the opposite way to where you next want it to come. So I kind of want to bring the layout around here and then over the launch. So I'm going to start the turn this way, as you end up rotating more, which makes a much whippier exit. Again, making sure you keep the turns at a sort of a speed that you want. And now over here then, I sort of want it to come out into a bit of an airtime hill. So we're going to just put out like an out of a bank wave above the launch track into an airtime hill. And the thing I always get asked is how I make my S-bends really whippy. Because if you make your S-bends using just like you normally would, so you want it to sort of come like this and then come like this, you know, it looks pretty whippy, but then when it comes to smoothing it, so you smooth forwards, that's just not a very, very good S-bend. So this is where it becomes very important to build it in your 4 meter or 13 feet track pieces, because that allows more pieces to be in the single element, so when it smooths out it keeps it all exactly as you wanted it, and it keeps the banking and the heart lining all good as well. So I'm going to build 3 track pieces there and then sort of slowly bring it around. I usually tend to do this in about 4 track pieces, this whole element, just like this. And then I'm going to put it into a bit of an airtime hill. Over it as an S-bend. And whip it down like that. And as we're coming over the track, a cheeky inversion would be pretty cool as well. There we go. And now as I'm sort of coming towards the end of the layout, we need to think about how we're going to get it back into the station smoothly without just sort of creating a very sudden, say, autocomplete boringness. So we don't want that. So what I always do is I'll take my coaster, I'll edit from this part of the ride, I'll put in a brake run here, and then say put in a little turning element, usually at about 4 degrees angle, because that's typically what coasters are built at, including their brake runs as well. And then build in some block brakes and a long brake run. So there's my little ending to the ride. And again, to make sure we keep good realism and make sure it comes in smooth, I always sort of build the last elements of my track. And as I can see, I'm sort of going to get it to come under here, a bit like an S-bend. I'm just going to build that element, building backwards, and then slowly make it up. And if for whatever reason it doesn't link up really smoothly, I will just keep on building this element until it sort of does. And then get that whole coaster just burst with a smooth tool. So typically with my coasters I tend to smooth backwards, then smooth forwards, or vice versa, as I just find it just makes it doubly smooth. And I'm just coming to the end now of smoothing out these really cool interlocking bits. I feel like this needs to go a little bit lower, so that's not a problem. Make it a bit lower. I should now make a very nice smooth layout. Obviously, only one way to find out, and let's give this ride a POV. And look at that for an absolutely perfect ride. The speed on that was absolutely perfect. It flowed through the elements really nicely. I feel like maybe a bit of hair could do with a bit of profile work to get it just to be a little bit smoother. But for a very quick 10-minute coaster, that's what I call a very, very smooth coaster with a maximum G-force of 3.35 vertical Gs and 1.44 laterals. That's a lot of lateral G-forces. However, it's nothing sort of too bad. Just some good laterals at some points, which I'm going to assume would probably be here or on these S-bends. Maybe here. That seems to be, could do with a bit more banking. But yeah, speed-wise, it's all good. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know as well if this tutorial helped, or if you would like any other tutorials with Planet Coaster 2. And if you guys did like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and the notification bell to be notified of any upcoming videos. But that's all from me now, and I hope you guys can now enjoy making some smooth coasters.